we are talking about AI. AI is really a big buzzword right now. Everybody has heard of it. Everybody is discussing AI. What do you think? Is it something that will change our lives? Will everybody here feel it in some way in the next years? How will it change our lives in the next years? Maybe you want to start.
Well, one of the issues is that AI encompasses so many different aspects, so that it's already changing our lives. So it's already having an impact, and it's going to change our lives in lots of different, multiply interconnected ways, which are also built on other technology and also embedded into social systems. So that one of the things I'm concerned about is exactly how complex the ethical issues with AI are. It's not very easy to tease them out and say, these are the issues. There are lots and lots of different issues embedded in different contexts.
So, can we agree on that we need rules for AI? Is it something you all would agree on, because AI will be so dominant in our world, will be dominant for politics, for the economy? Do we need rules?
Maybe.
I'm sorry.
I think it depends on the sector. So if it's like a commercial project that is using AI, then we don't need rules for it. So if Netflix is recommending me some movies, they can make the rules by themselves, I would say. But if it, with Frank Robin, we are working in the legal sector, and here we see like people are used to work to get judged by machines already. If you're driving too fast into a radar control, you get flashed, then the machine is judging you and you have to pay a fine. And there is the rule set behind it, and the rule is the German law. So I think in the field of law, yes, there are some rules necessary, but in lots of economic fields, I actually don't think so.
Coming to this example of measuring speed, it's a very easy rule. If you're too fast, then you get a fine. But other jurisdictional rules are much more complex. If you have like a court who makes a decision on somebody is guilty or not, or is he guilty, and what is the appropriate fine? So do you think that machines can do these decisions better in the future than humans?
Yes, of course I think so. Because at the moment, if you are in a court in front of a judge, he's sentencing you in some way. And very often, there are even platforms out there that are weighting judges, saying this is a mild judge, this is a hard judge, and then it also depends on if you're rich and you can afford an expensive lawyer, or you are black, or like some kind of a minority, then you will be judged in a different way. And I think with machines that are judging us, it will be more fair for most of the people.
Paula, do you agree?
Well, I agree. I half agree, because there are ways in which humans make decisions which could be flawed. So, for example, there's research which show that if you go up to a judge for a decision about probation, you will get a harsher decision before lunch when the judge is hungry than after lunch when he or she has had his dinner. So that won't happen with AI, because AI doesn't get hungry. But we have to think very, very carefully about what decisions we're building into the AI. So there's a big danger that we might be building in the existing biases that we have here now, and the existing prejudices that we have might simply get actually exaggerated by the AI. And there's another also important difference. Although human beings don't always know exactly why they've acted, in fact, actually, thinking about it in terms of ethics, since we're in Germany, Immanuel Kant, who's a philosopher we can still learn a lot from, thought that the motivation behind our action was the most important thing, but warned us that human beings very often are not aware of their own motivations. So that is a problem, but you have the same problem in a different form for a lot of AI, because it's opaque as to exactly why they're making their decisions. So working out whether or not a decision that's made by an AI about sentencing, for example, is actually fair and just. Yes, hopefully I see that it can remove some biases that humans have, but how we tell whether or not it's unbiased is a different matter. We need to think very, very hard and very, very carefully about whether or not we're simply reinforcing different biases.
Yes, but just in this moment is where we have really changes if we take AIs for decisions. AIs will make decisions very, very rationally, much more rational than humans ever could.
Yes.
And they can take much more aspects into account. And this they can take into nanoseconds.
Yes.
Yeah, so we need for a decision, we need, let's say, an hour or 2 days.
Yes.
Yeah, and even if we take it 2 days, if it takes 2 days, we are just primed. We have all this behavioral economic shit, yeah, so that we decide wrong, as we know. And AI will bring much more clarity, rationality, and it's always unfair against humans because it's quicker and much more rational. So AI is not a case of fairness.
Not a case of fairness, but if we're using it in a court of law, we have to have some idea of fairness, so that I think in different contexts we will have much clearer ideas about what our end goals are in terms of values. So that in a court of law, so we have a very basic idea that justice should be blind, so that it should make no difference. You don't get a lighter sentence if you're good looking, for example, but of course those sorts of things will happen when humans are making the judgments. But in other contexts, we don't have such clear end goals by which to judge if the AI is really better than humans.
It's not better than humans, it's
Yes.
quite in a critical
Yes.
aspect different than
Yes,
humans.
yes,
It's
I-
rational.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
in finance, if you bet against an artificial intelligence, against a robot, you never have a chance. Never.
Yes.
Because he's much more quicker to go in, to go out, to analyze, to make his decisions. Yeah. This is where we have to think about fairness.
Yes.
Yeah. And where we maybe need rules. And in other cases, this is what we discussed also, is, for example, in military use. Yeah? Maybe we have to blame artificial intelligence in military use. We have to define rules, even if we know that the rules don't work. Yeah? But for example, we blame landmines.
So you agree that
No.
there's a need of some kind of rules. So who has to decide on the rules? Is it something that society has to decide as a whole? Do we have to have a big discussion in society? Do we have to vote on it? Do politicians have to decide on it? Do companies decide on it? Or do we have to differentiate? If it comes to military, maybe we have to have a political decision, but maybe when it comes to AI and in companies, we can say we leave this unregulated. What is your opinion on that, Paula?
Well, again, I think it depends on the particular context. So again, going back to the case of law, then we have quite clear and well worked out ways in which we decide whether or not something fits legal precedent. Actually, I don't know the situation in Germany, but in England we have English common law, which is based upon precedent, and also law made by statute. So we've already got quite a sort of good body for precedent for understanding whether or not something fits in with our legal system. But even there may be ways in which we need to think about how that innovates. So, for instance, the question about whether or not you really can attribute blame or responsibility in a legal sense to AI is something which I think should be open up for wider discussion to the public about, do we really want to say that, say, a robot can be responsible, or because how do you punish a robot, for example? We need to see how it's fitting into the rest of our justice system.
But I think we don't have to punish the robot. I think we have to. The robots are just doing their jobs that we're giving them, and they're good in it and more efficient than everyone else, just like you said. But we have to punish the guys who are setting up the samples and the rules, and this is actually where what we should think about, or what are the cool new jobs are. It's about not doing like the same thing on court every day. So you have to deal with fines, you have to deal with divorces, and so on. It's the same thing over and over again. And this is boring. And for that, you go to university for 10 years to become a lawyer, for instance. You should go to university to learn how to train such a bot.
Yes.
It makes our life easier and makes more fair or fairer decisions in the end. And the whole thing becomes more interesting if we get rid of the boring jobs and let the machines doing it.
But maybe it becomes helpful if we make a distinction between various kinds of ethics. If you could show the slide we prepared. If we have this is the slide, is that available? Not. The distinction is, if we discuss about rules and dynamics and what is inside, that we realize that how fast the train goes of the digital excellence, of the artificial intelligence, of the development. And then we have 3 ways to deal with it. One is we just can stand outside this fast-running train, and we can say, oh, look at the train, maybe he's fast, and we as a society have to discuss about rules. But the train goes on. And this is where I not agree with you. If we really let the train go his way, it's not really ethical. Then we have to take, as ethicists, the way on the train and have to make an ethics on the train.
Yeah,
And then we have to we have to communicate ethical issues in the design of artificial intelligence. And this means we have to go the next step on the train to go on the engine with our ethics, to design, to bring in social aspects, to bring in humanity into the coding of artificial intelligence. Because coding is a...
Yes, yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's not a very complicated picture. It's just you have to come from behind the train, from defining rules to on the engine, to communicate issues of humanity, which make things much clearer for example, developers, for coders. Yeah, they decide how to create an artificial intelligence.
But the train is already there. And the train is running, and you cannot stop it.
Maybe the problem with the train analogy is that of running on a track. So it's going on a particular way. So
we can steer.
Yes, we can steer maybe. But if I could maybe agree with you about that, because in ethics, we have very broad principles. So again, if we just go back to the example of justice, because it's useful to carry on with the same example, we have a broad principle that courts of law are answerable to explaining their decisions. So if you say that it's better to have it digitally, then what you need to do in terms of engineering it. So one of the things I'm really concerned about is that you could have very broad ethical principles that we can agree on. Very often we agree on them precisely because they're so broad that they're so vague we don't realise where we disagree, which is a problem. But in terms of AI, we need to be able to engineer that into how we're developing it, so that you would need to be able to try to, as far as possible, engineer into development ways of explaining the decision so that it makes it accountable to humans. Otherwise, we don't want to look a few years down the line and find a justice system where somebody says, OK, you, prison.
Yeah, but if it's the right decision, and then
but how do you know it's right?
And then of course, yeah, because there is a law, and the law is defined by us, by the citizens, and in the end by the government. But it is defined, and the machine is doing nothing else but using the law. And of course, there are adjustments, and like the zeitgeist is changing from time to time. But
I want to move on to another topic you just mentioned, because it has also a lot to do with ethics of AI, and I think it's something that a lot of people are concerned about. You said that there will be the interesting jobs left. The boring jobs will be automated, and then there will be interesting ones. But I'm not sure about that, because we have a lot of automatization. We had a lot of automatization, and there are new jobs every time we have automatization, but I think they are mostly in the area of people who are very good qualified, and there are less and less jobs for people who are not very good qualified. And now autonomous cars are on the way, and will have big impacts on logistics, taxis, and so on. So what do you think? What is the ethics on this? Do we have to have a more active government maybe in the future, because there are people just left out with all the machines taking over? What's your opinion on that, Florian?
My opinion is that, I don't know, like 50 years ago you were buying a ticket for a train at a counter. Now you buy it at a machine. No one is complaining that the counters, people are sitting on the counters, I don't know, they found there's things to do, and in Germany there's almost no unemployment anymore. Everyone is employed, and it's the same thing if you look at other things like I don't know, like getting cash from an ATM. Yeah, like a few years ago or 20 years ago, everyone said, "Oh, what about the poor guys on the counter? Now I get my cash from the ATM, or I don't even need cash anymore." So you cannot stop it anyways. So, and I don't think it makes sense to stop it, because everyone likes to use the stuff. Everyone likes to use their Uber. Everyone likes to use Netflix and is not watching, I don't know, ProSieben anymore. You cannot stop it, and this is why I think, and I also think that there will always be jobs for everyone in the end.
I don't think that you can solve it either, but maybe politics have to react in another way. What is your opinion?
Yes, I think that we can't stop it, but we can adjust it. And
Yeah.
so, for example, when you say that nobody objects to these things, some people do object. So I have long objected to going into supermarkets and having been served by a machine who says unexpected item in the bagging area. So there are lots of
but that's a stupid picture that the robot is speaking to you like that you understand this is a robot, blah blah blah. This is not how it should be, and then you will not accept it. But you will accept it if it comes. If it feels naturally to you.
I'm afraid I do disagree with you about that, because it depends. This is why it's so important to have a very big discussion with involving all sorts of people from society, because there are many people in society who live very, very lonely, isolated lives. So there was a report I read just a few days ago that elderly people, they go to the shops and that might be the only person they speak to all day long. Or mothers who are at home with young children. They go to the shops because they can talk to an adult instead of being screamed at by a child. So that they do actually want a real person. And, it's seeing the same person. So I think while we're talking about progress, we also need to keep an eye on what it is that we might be losing. And if you're interested in business, for example, then you might have a business that's got a value added, because now people are actually paying more to have a bank where they can talk to an actual person. So,
But we still have a big issue if I think artificial intelligence really changes our life in the next 5, let's say 10 years. So production processes are done with artificial intelligence. All this bad that works. And new things have to come up. But the big problem is that in the history of humanity, that macroeconomic changing processes to shift income from one production area to another takes about 50 to 80 years.
Now it's getting much more
Yes.
faster.
Yeah.
And now we only have 5 years or 8 years to shift the productivity, the income from productivity. Nobody creates a car because there are only robots. Yeah? So nobody earns money with robots. And we have to shift it, for example, for healthcare, for helping old people, to have social aspects, but we don't have money there.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing to do. This is what is fun to think about, to how can we organize it and so on. But the machines, they will come anyway. So we cannot stop the machines, we cannot stop AI, but we have to think about how could we create our world if we have all the machines doing the jobs.
Yes.
This is what we have to think about.
Yes, so but I think we do need to involve a large number of people in this discussion and have feedback from people. So, for instance, I would even question the very simplistic thinking that I sometimes read about, that AI is getting rid of boring jobs. Because what is a boring job to one person is an interesting job to another person. And so much of it is focused very much on, of course, all the AI is being done by people who have very high intellectual abilities. But that's actually quite a small proportion of the population. And we have to be very careful. We're not assuming that somebody who has maybe lesser abilities in a sort of an intellectual way, that maybe they would just be perfectly happy doing a job that you might find boring. Yeah. So that we really need to involve the whole of humanity in thinking about this.
But it's too easy. It's too easy to say, okay, the artificial intelligence changes and you can't stop it. That's right. But we can design it, how it changes. And it's too easy to say, okay, it's only what comes out of it in the society to think about ethically. We also can put it, that's what I wanted to show with the picture, we can put the ethics on the train to say, okay, we need several kinds of artificial intelligence, special kinds. We need them in a very different way, in a very, maybe in an ethical way, in a human way, to design it. And this is what we also could do. Yeah?
Yes, absolutely. But, but what I don't understand is that no one understands that these machines, they are making us free. If I want to do farming all day, I can do farming because the machines are taking care of the rest. You know, I can really decide by myself what I want to do. And like in utopia, or in a perfect world where the machines are doing the jobs that we don't like to do. Like
yeah, but that is only if the money the machine makes is not only for the owner of the machine, but for everyone in some case. In some way.
I think this is a different economic model.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's maybe
so
something.
So you agree on that? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So and I wanted to talk about economics as well in regard of the GAFA economy. We have now these four big American companies who are really dominant in their space. It's Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. And with AI coming and revolutionize everything, it might be that those companies, where they all have a lot of data, and they all have a lot of experts and they have a lot of capital, will they become more dominant in this new world, which is so much driven by AI? What is your opinion on that? Maybe Ebert, you start.
I think in an income-generating way, they become more dominant. Maybe they have also the unfriendly takeovers, for example, from Alibaba, which is 10 times the size of Google and Amazon together. Yes, which is really much bigger.
In revenues, you mean?
So yes, they will become much more influential in all our lives. And the problem is if they also generate profit, income, and they keep it for their own, then we have a critical democratic issue. Yes, because then we don't have any money, yes. And they give us some almos, maybe. Yeah, or not, yes?
Yes, and I'm not an expert in the business world, but I think some of the things that might be a bit unexpected. So, for example, there are lots of people now complaining not just about the monopoly over money, but about monopoly over information. So there are lots of people complaining about YouTube demonetizing their videos, about Twitter suspending their accounts, and then going to alternative accounts where they see that issues of what some people think of as being censorship or being shut down, so that it could be disruptive in lots of really interesting ways that's not so easy to predict.
And the disruption, just a moment, just think on the disruption process through the GAFAs, yes? At the moment, they generate income by making advertisements from the classical economy. So if you
not all of them, Apple is selling hardware.
If you destroy the classical economy, then they can't get advertisements.
Yes, and if there's only 30 people working in the company anymore, then nobody can buy products.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In your perspective, from a startup point of view, do you think there's big chances in the AI space for startups, or is it more for the big companies?
I think there are big chances for. I mean, they have all the data in the world, but always on specific fields. And I think in the end that they will dominate their sectors. But I think it will be hard for them to go to other sectors. And as you said, there's always someone like Dr. Oetker or Jakobs Krönung or whatever, they need to advertise. And these businesses, I still want to drink my hot coffee in the morning and then checking out what's up on Facebook and so on. So I think they give us services that we like. This is why they became so big. And if they don't give us services anymore that we like, they won't grow anymore.
So time is running out, so maybe one last question for everyone. Please, very quick answer. Do you think that there will be some kind of jobs that never will be automated? And if, what are they? What have to learn now to survive in this AI-dominated future? Maybe you start, Florian?
I would say everything that is about arts. So
but there are computers who are making music now.
Yeah, there are computers making music, but would you like to listen to it? Will it ever chart at #1 at the Billboard?
Maybe.
I don't know. So I would say arts and entertainment needs to be built by humans because it needs to develop. It needs to become better. It needs another twist from decade to decade.
Eberhard, your take?
Yes, I think there are all jobs which are strongly related to creativity and emotional things. They don't get away. Yeah, we still need the creativity of humans. Maybe added on with the creativity of artificial intelligence, but we really need these jobs and the emotional jobs. So arts, maybe music, maybe other things. Yeah. So this is good that we have this art space out there. Yes. Where we really learn this is what makes humanity.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I suspect that nursing may benefit from some technology and some help with assistance in robotics, like lifting heavy patients and so on. But the actual human interaction is not just an added extra. It actually helps people to heal faster. So I think that maybe you can find a robot that does that exactly, but why would you do that? You could make those sorts of jobs so much more enjoyable and rewarding. And also I agree with crafts. So for example, my father was a woodworker, so now he's passed on. So I have some pieces of woodwork furniture in my house that he made. So it's the fact that it's that particular human being who carved this piece of wood, which is something that you will never replace by a machine. Maybe if he had built the robot that made the machine, but that human history is something that is going to never, I think, go away.
Yeah, craftsmanship is also very popular here in Berlin, in the
Yes.
hipster
Yes,
districts, yeah.
yes. And the richer people get, if AI makes people rich, they will want handmade products. Won't
Okay,
they? Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was very lovely. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye.